Daniel, it's such a pleasure to have you on my podcast and to talk about this amazing product. This little thing that I'm holding in my hand that now everyone's thinking, what is this? Is it a whatever? I'm going to let you explain because it's fantastic. So congratulations on this amazing device that is really a good tool for, yes, I know nutrition, but I believe also can help us monitor a way of monitoring our mental health. So welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Caroline. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited as well.
You're the founder and the developer of this. This is really your baby. So can you tell us what Lumen is and, maybe start off with who you are and what Lumen is so people know why I'm holding this little black thing up.
Sure. So it's not really my baby. It's already like my family's child. We are 5 founders. I'm leading a team of 5, and above us, in a way, there are other 70 employees that are investing in making this thing a reality. So what Lumen really is, and that first device that you're holding, is basically a tool that allows you to have a view into what's happening in your body and starts to understand how the different things you're doing, different habits you have in your life, in nutrition, and mainly, but also in sleep and in activity and in fasting and in mental health. How are those impacting your inner self in your way, your metabolism? And this is a key to an extent to understanding your body better and to enforcing the things that are good for you. And what it does, pragmatically, what it does is to measures the CO2 content in your breath. And in doing that, it can tell you if your body is currently using fats for energy, those calories we know we're burning. So are they coming from our fat stores or are they coming from carbs digested in our meal or from carb stores in our muscles, for example? And by understanding this metric, you can gradually start to understand what is a healthy metabolism, where do you stack against the axis of people who are pre-diabetic to the on the one side to the people who are metabolically efficient, like athletes, on the other side. And it basically opens a world to understand the different experiences and the different things that you are doing and really how are they promoting your health or are they actually working against you?
Fantastic explanation. So basically, you looking at people's, if I was just going to summarize back and see if I've understood this correctly, this is a way of looking at your metabolism, and metabolism plays such an important role in every level of health, cardiovascular, immune system health. It's pretty much across the board. So it's a very simple way, and we're going to talk about the technology in a moment and how this is just so much a very efficient and scientifically effective way of determining your metabolism, and a simple way that you can do at home in literally 10 seconds. So you basically metabolism, it's looking at metabolism and it's showing you how efficient your metabolism is. So whether you're burning fat or whether you want to burn fat overnight and you want to have an equilibrium between fat and carbs during the course of the day. So that's what you're going towards. It's a goal that you're going towards. So you facilitate that process of going towards that goal. And in doing that, you are helping with the whole brain and body health. And then that spills over obviously into mental health hugely when we've got our metabolism right. It's obviously not the only factor, but it is a large contributing factor.
No, the more you really nailed it, the more we are invested in. When we started this, our curiosity towards metabolism was as a feedback loop for nutrition. And we felt that we are really unique in that domain because there aren't many tools or there isn't enough data today to tell us, to guide us or to provide a feedback loop to what we're doing, especially in the space of nutrition. You have that in activity. You have different heart rate and heart rate variability monitors. And you have that now in sleep as well with several tools like the Oura Ring and Whoop and so forth. And in nutrition, we're still in the dark. And in that, we allow different methodologies to take place because of marketing. Okay, you will have that next fad diet every year that will put another level of stress that we're not doing everything we're doing right. And we should completely disregard our last diet that we took and maybe focus on this one. And one year carbs are evil and the other year fats is evil and you can't eat meat or you can't eat. And in a way, those diets, because of their need to be viral to some extent and to market themselves, they go to the extremes. And the extremes are the 5 rules that you should do and the 5 rules that you shouldn't, the 5 foods that you should avoid. And it diminishes the conversation around nutrition and wellness and balance. And so a diet, in a sense, will always push us towards extremes. And in a way, that diet that even, it worked, it had fast results. That diet that worked for us will work against us the moment it really worked. Because obviously I can't continue losing weight over and over if I'm on a ketogenic diet. And I need to find myself in a different zone at some point. So with the availability of data, we feel that the opportunity is that those diets will eventually disappear. I know it sounds like super futuristic, but in a way, I should not copy your diet. For sure, even if you are perfect. Because in my nutritional journey, I never done fasting. I'm eating 20 times a day, eating a lot at night. What's working now for you, I'm not there. I'm not there yet, but maybe in a year time, I can start looking into what you're doing. And it allows the personalization of vision and of habits. And that's what we are extremely excited about in a way. So anyone can find what are their strategies that they can start practicing and see and research on themselves whether it's impactful or not, and not just grab something that someone else in a very different context than mine is doing.
I really, really think that's very, very important what you've said, because as you quite rightly say, the diet fad industry is overwhelming of what can you eat today, what you shouldn't eat today, and then you can't eat it tomorrow, and then you must eat it, and then you mustn't, and then this is bad. It's so confusing and overwhelming, and it always concerns me when people come out and say, this is the diet. You have to eat like this. If you don't eat like this, and there's been so much of that. And I think we are moving into an era where people are a little bit more flexible. And then I say that, and then another diet book comes out, and I question whether that is actually happening. So I'm very much for the uniqueness of the mind and the uniqueness of the brain and body that is working with the mind, and that we give that we actually treat that, recognize that uniqueness is different for every person, and that goes to our metabolism. So to say that you have to do this or you don't have to do that or you must do this, I agree with you. It's created so much of the problem around diet culture.
About body image as well, right? Because those diets need to show you results, and you need to buy into the model that you're going to look like. And therefore, the deepness of the problem that potentially this solution came to solve. But what it really did is deepen and made our relationship with food and with our body way more complex.
Absolutely. Something so simple and enjoyable as eating has become a nightmare for a lot of people. And so we have this prevalence in eating disorders and disordered eating. And, it's across the board, it's across cultures, it's across ages. And it's kind of got worse, as you quite rightly say, our so-called increased knowledge about food groups and food and ways of eating has almost made things worse. So what I'm understanding that Lumen does is it's not telling you to eat a diet at all. It's looking at you as a unique individual and looking through metabolism specifically, and specifically looking at metabolism through the carbon dioxide, which is the byproduct of how our body is actually using food. And then from there, seeing where you are at uniquely for your body type, your genes, your muscle density, bone density, activity, exercise, environment, context, all of those together, and working out what would work best for you. And from what I'm also seeing from just my understanding of this, and I'm excited to start using it, there's no judgment, there's no moralizing, there's encouragement, and there's a personalized plan. Okay, so that's my impression of it so far. Have I understood it? Is that kind of what I'm supposed to be understanding?
Yes, actually, it does. I would say that it's still a product. We've been building this system for the past 8 years, and there's still room to go in order for that to be really empowering, like you're describing it. But it's getting there, and that's the vision. And yes, it does on a very pragmatic or practical way. You wake up in the morning, and basically like brushing your teeth, you take a measurement, you will see where your body is at. Is it burning fat sufficiently after you've been fasting at night for 6-7 hours, or is it not? And based on that measurement and based on the score you get and the Lumen level you get, we build you a personalized nutrition plan. And there are several layers of value that Lumen is giving. One is really the basic understanding of metabolism in general and your metabolism in specific. The other one is really that, like the guidance, that trying to find what worked for people like you in your gender, your age, with your current habits of working out. Are you working out daily or is it 2 times a week? That's very different. And it's really trying to personalize and find your position in your nutritional journey and kind of nudge you toward the most impactful opportunity we believe that is right for you based on all the data we have on you, not just the breath, also all the data we collect from other integrations with the Google Fit and Apple Health Kit and the different wearables we connect to. So in that understanding the content, the second value is guidance. The third value, which is becoming more and more vivid and interesting, is the community, is that accountability of having several people around you that are in the same curiosity towards their own journey and asking questions and answering one another. And we see what a significant role we never imagined. We knew it could be an opportunity, but we never imagined how meaningful that could be, of going in a journey where you're trying to adopt new habits and having that group of people going through the same journey and advising you and cheering for you. And this is something currently you can see in this very vibrant Facebook community that we manage, that really manages itself in a way. And the fourth value beyond that accountability and the guidance and knowledge of metabolism is really the motivation to some extent. There is a level of sense of ability to some extent. When someone just needs to take a breath in the morning and you know where you stand, it opens up your awareness towards what am I going to eat today? It gives you a sense of ability that this is in your control. You feel that it's really in your control and you are really motivated to move forward. And it's another day that you are progressing towards your goal. There is something in the presence of a device at home, next to your bed, in your shower, or not in your shower, in your bathroom, in a sense, which is very interesting concept to explore. It's not just an app. Obviously, the app, the journey is extremely important, but it's really beyond the device, the device itself or the app itself. It's something in the mixture of both that really motivates people for a lifelong changes and not for like quick hacks of weight loss.
I really relate to that. And, the work that I do with the mind-brain-body connection and all the neuroscience and everything, what's really important is for people to feel empowered. And I've shown that in my research, it's really important to help a person to feel empowered to face issues that are worrying them. And so here we're not talking about a diet per se. Here we're talking about having the energy to because metabolism is related to energy. So let's talk about mental health, energy, and let's throw all the diet stuff out. That's almost like as you reach your happy, healthy at every size goal. The point is to really make sure that you are feeling like you're empowered to take these steps to be able to do something. So it's another tool, almost another tool in a mental health toolbox to be able to help manage this. Because I know from our research, and you and I have discussed this prior to this, is that our mind shows up in our brain and our body, and the pattern of our brain and body follows our mind. So it's just a really also a good way of us seeing that, another way I'm understanding it, another way of actually looking at how's my metabolism being affected potentially, not just by diet and exercise, but by how I'm relating to my community, the deep, meaningful connections, the way that I'm responding to the stresses of my life, the mind management aspect. So it does give you another little tool in your toolbox to start seeing, well, maybe there is some, because the mind does impact the brain and the body, and metabolism is directly affected by mind. So that I find quite fascinating about the whole concept. As you say, having it next to your bed, like the toothbrush, the app, the interactability, the interaction between them, the community, these are vital aspects in mental health too.
Yes, and the more we invest in helping our customers eventually reach their goals, and a lot of the time, honestly, their goal that they started with is weight loss. And for us, there's a conflict. What company are we building? A lot of our customers came to lose weight, and Lumen is a very effective tool in doing that. But eventually, the goal that we strive to, our vision is healthy metabolism. And our vision is being in a state of mind where it's really in your control. And it's really in your ability. Once you understand nutrition, you have the tools to work with that. You can sometimes let go because emotionally you need sometimes to eat more, and it's okay. And you will not stress yourself around that because it's in your control and in your power to lose eventually the weight if you do decide that it's meaningful. But what we want to keep people at is in a state of mind of capability, that they're really capable. And in that, they can decide to lose weight, they can decide to maintain it, and they can actually, their body will flow with them. They will be able to sustain that weight that they lost. And it's not a result of extreme efforts that eventually they will never be able to
maintain. Yeah. So it moves away from calorie counting and carb counting and all of those things that can be incredibly triggering for someone who has an eating disorder or disordered eating. So you're moving away from that, but could it?
There is a caveat. Today, we do a preach for carb counting. The main reason for that is that to learn what carbs are is important. And to learn what healthy fats are is important, and fibers and protein. And we can't keep ourselves in the realms of understand your metabolism and you do whatever you want to, because people also want the tools. And we have a food logger within the system. But we do not expect our customers, and we see that, we do not expect them to count carbs for life or to log food for life, not at all. So those are tools to give them the sense of control and to give them the understanding of, when I eat like that, how much carbs is that and how it's really affecting my body. So to make the connection and to make the learning impactful, yes, at the beginning, you will need to count some carbs and to understand what carbs are and to differentiate between carbs and vegetables that on textbooks, you will see that they're all carbs, but in a way they are extremely different in their nutrients and also in their impact on our body. So there is a learning and there is some counting and there is some food logging that can be done, but all are in the service of better, let's say, sense of ability and a strong mind and learning in a way.
So it's educational. So it's an educational component as opposed to an ongoing lifestyle.
And also, it's also a learning system. So for Lumen to really learn you and personalize to what you're doing and to understand how things are impacting you, it needs the data. It doesn't need the data necessarily every day, but at the onboarding period and at the beginning, it can really learn you. And then it can understand where you are and move you or help you nudge into the next most impactful thing you can do to better your health. So yes, it's education, but it's also educating the system itself so it can be better and more personalized and more familiar with you. And in the future, it's also know when to let you go a bit and to allow you to take a vacation and to relax because it puts too much stress on what's perfect for you.
Exactly. I agree with you. So it's an educational tool, and then it basically helps you to have the freedom to move once you understand and it's learned you and you've learned more about your body. So in terms of the science behind it, on your website, you explain how there is, like you can go and have labs done, and by the time you've had those labs done, which take a few hours to get or even days to get the results back, your metabolism's already changed, but it's because it's constantly changing because of all the factors we spoke about. So how is this different, and how does it actually work into the science behind it? Because you just like one little breath and you've got insight into your metabolism versus going for labs, which sounds so much more accurate. That's how people will be thinking, that's the science, go for labs, get the whole blood work done. And you're not saying to throw that out, but you just, in terms of metabolism, it changes constantly. So can you just talk around that for a moment and a bit of the science?
Of course. So I think somewhere along the way, we will be able to throw the labs to that extent because of the impact of this is a small device. It's really a bit less accurate than the lab equipment, of course. It costs a fraction of those $20,000 metabolic chambers or metabolic carts. That basically those are the gold standard of what Lumen is capturing. RER, which is respiratory exchange rate, and RMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. That's the basic, say, gold standard measurement in metabolism. What Lumen does, by basically changing the technique of the measurement, we don't ask you to breathe continuously in and out. We ask you to inhale a very measured volume of air and to hold that in your lungs for about 10 seconds and then to exhale. That flow, guided by the app, is kind of our secret sauce to getting down the 30-minute or the 45-minute it would take a patient or a customer to go into these metabolic carts. And eventually, after 30, 40 minutes, a physician would look at your data and try to tell you where you're at. So obviously, no one have ever used those machines to drive nutritional decisions, right? Those are only being used for kind of extreme, dieting facilities or athletes that are using those. Or in ICUs, you would find people that are nourished with machines and they need to make sure that they are well fed. We took that to the home, basically, and to consumer. And with that, on the one hand, you lose some of the accuracy, but what we gain is abundance of data. So if you look at Lumen's system today, already with hundreds of thousands of people been using it, you will see that Lumen's metabolic data in context, which is people measuring, and we have their heart rate and we have their habits and we have a lot of data about them with every single measurement. We have access to knowledge that never existed today in the world of metabolism. I would compare that to the moment that cameras were part of your phone in a way. So the amount of data or amount of photos you had in that moment, in a fraction oversee all the data or all the photos you had before that when you used only film. And what it does is really allowing all of us kind of to tap into what makes us extremely unique, which is our metabolism. And we can provide you with insights that no one, even in the science space, had access before. And that's what really gets us excited. It's making that science approachable on the one hand, but on the other hand, keeping it real. As an entrepreneur, my biggest fear, or let's say our biggest anxiety, we've been building Lumen for the past 8 years. The biggest anxiety, let's say for the first 4 years or 5 years, was that people will say that this is snake oil, that this is not true. It couldn't be. And it's a gimmick or it's a gadget. And for us, it was really important to go through a peer-reviewed validation process and to work with really experts in this domain to establish that this is real, not just for our customers, even for ourselves. It starts with, that's something we are taking very seriously. There is a team here that is constantly looking at the data and constantly looking at, on the one hand, the data, the raw data, and on the other hand, the experience our customers are going through. And the science is continuously being developed, but with the consumer in mind. It's not a completely academic freedom to research whatever the scientists here want to, but it's an applicable science. So we research, if we understand that there is impact on menstrual cycle that is impacting metabolism, we will invest research resources into that because we know that it's impacting our customers. And we need to shed some light on that to ourselves and also to how Lumen recommends what to eat. So, and that's a real example, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. No, I love that. So it's a research-based product and you recognize you're not there yet. You are always developing. So you're at a really good point, but you're constantly investing time and money in research, which is the same model that we have for our company. I'm always doing research to double check that what I'm telling people is yes, evidence-based. So I really like that. I'd love to just wrap up with a question, and then I know that you have a fantastic special for my Cleaning Up the Mental Mess listeners, but just we briefly referred to this in the beginning, but just in terms of metabolism and mental health, we've discussed a little bit about the empowerment aspect and the community aspect really contributing hugely to mental health, but could you talk just maybe for a minute or so about the metabolism and the impact on mental health?
What we've seen so far is that stress, and it's about question that we ask and we get the data. So stress and sleep deprivation are extreme factors that we see that are tied to metabolism. So your body's ability to use fats efficiently, and fat is an important, energy source we want to tap into. Our ability to use fats is impacted by the hormonal system in a way. So when we're stressed, cortisol is secreted, and in a way, it doesn't allow us to tap into our fat stores. So sleep deprivation and stress, we've seen in several occasions that pushes people not to use their fat stores. And therefore, even if they've been fasting for 10 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours, they could be waking up on carb burn. Their body is still tapping into the fight or flight fuel, which is sugar or carbs. This is a basic knowledge or understanding we have, and the science already sees that. We see that in the practice. We see how meaningful that is, even, and that space is still in exploration, but what meditation does, or what a moment of mindfulness can do to change your metabolism in an instant. So it's still under research. It's still something that we are not fully baking into the product, but it's one of the areas that we're more curious about, because those moments could have a compounding factor on your day, and in that, on your life. So we are looking into those, and probably in the coming future we will also tap into that from a product perspective as well.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, I know that there's a special discount for my listeners, for Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess listeners, and it's a promo with the promo code DRLEAF. They can get $40 discount, which is amazing, off the product. So thank you for offering that discount, and we'll put those details in the show notes, and we'll put the link and everything to Lumen, and we'll be doing some stories about Lumen with me using it. So I'm excited about this product. I really am. I'm really excited about the last statement, because it's in my wheelhouse, about doing the research around the links to stress and mental health and metabolism and monitoring that. So thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on the show and for explaining this very important concept, and actually spending all this time investing in creating something that will bring health into people's hands, or help people to start bringing their metabolic health and mental health into a user-friendly way into their hands. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you for building that community of people who care about something which is so important and so not trivial. The community around you is the reason for that discount, and the reason we are speaking now from a Lumen perspective is it's that we understand that if we come together,
can we do things? Yeah,
we can do things and move things, and we want to tap into communities of people who care.
Exactly. And I love that. I love it. Coming together is how we help people. And that's why I have people like you on the show, because I'm trying to give the best advice to my listeners for them to be able to be empowered for their mental and physical health. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such an interesting discussion. I look forward to talking again.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Likewise, I really enjoyed it.